provision and made sure the disciple would take care of Mom. Oh, what love our Savior has. But Mary was, again, highly favored. Mary was a true worshiper of God. And Mary was humble, and she realized her dependence upon God, and again, she had a great faith. Now, as you think about married, as you think about moms, as I begin to segue into the second part of the message, I want to be very, very transparent. I want to be very real. I want to say this: that does not mean all of the glorious and all the wonderful things that I say about, mothers does not mean that moms don't have bad days, because you do, and it's okay. And sometimes moms need to hear that it's okay. I have a lot of bad days, a lot more than I'd like to admit, and probably a lot more than you all need to know about, or that you can know about, and more than you do know about is what I meant to say. But I'm telling you, while my attitude and while my bad day may bring down some of the temperament of the house and all those types of things, on the rare occasion that Heather has a bad day, like once every 4 or 5 years, whatever it may be, it's not very often, I look over at her and I'm like, what's wrong? I can't function when she's having a bad day. I don't know. I want to make sure she's happy. A lot of times I want to make sure I didn't do something stupid that caused the bad day, right? But moms have bad days, right? And there are things and times that get to even moms in this blessed and highly favored role. So yeah, God's design is so beautiful and it's so special, and God designed that right from the beginning that mothers have this special bond with their children, and it is so beautiful, and it is so wonderful for Christian mothers in raising Christian children. But I'll tell you, I know that special, beautiful work that God has called you to can sometimes cause you to feel alone and isolated and just what would feel like trapped. God is so gracious to moms that I've seen in my own wife and in those times and in that season of life that she'd remember that higher calling that God has given her to be a mom. And I wish I would have known then what I know now. I wish I could have been an encourager then for her to keep on. It made me not have to take care of me so much when I got home. If I knew then what I know now, right? It's an awesome work. But keep on. It's a blessing from God as you are investing so much into the lives of your precious babies who are your biggest ministry opportunity. And don't feel guilty, moms, when you need or want a break. You deserve it, right? If you need to get away for a few hours or more. Now, and husbands, I remember now, one thing I did try to do is believe it or not, that I know this sounds so weird and I'm not trying to get all bizarro on you here, but just that sometimes that 20-minute shower, we felt like it was an eternity because we were trying to keep the kids from the door, and we're like, I can keep them quiet for 20 minutes, I know I can. And then we go to the door, are you almost done? Am I the only one? Tell me I'm not the only one that has done that. We've kept them away. We're trying to keep the noise down. Shh, quiet. Right? It screams. They're like, no. And then they're rushing in the shower, and kids are laughing. They're like, oh, moms are like, he knows. Yeah, I don't know enough, but I know a little. Right? It's an awesome work. We know we couldn't do it. That's why we're out working, man. We're out. You deserve more than what we can give you here. Take your break, moms. Recharge. Do what you need to do. It's a great work that God has called you to. You're doing an amazing job. And which brings me to the next part of this message. Really, this first part took me a whole lot longer than I thought. I've got an entire sermon basically left here, so I'll give you a few highlights before I bring it to a close. And that is to read this. I have a whole section here, and I want to get to this then. This blessing of guiding and nurturing the home brings me to Proverbs chapter 31. And I want to give you 5 quick principles in Proverbs chapter 31. Allow me the time to do this here. Well, I don't think you're going to get up and walk away on me, so. Proverbs chapter 31. I'd like to read these verses here, beginning in verse 10. Who can find a virtuous woman, for her price is far above rubies? The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeketh wool and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant ships. She bringeth her food from afar. She riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens. She considereth the field, and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hands she planteth a vineyard. She girdeth her loins with strength, and strengtheneth her arms. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night. She layeth her hands to the spindle, her hands hold the distaff. She stretcheth out her hand to the poor, yea, she reacheth forth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. She maketh herself coverings of tapestry, her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates, when he sitteth among the elders of the land. She maketh fine linen and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchant. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. Her children arise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praiseth her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. There's a lot of meat there. There's a lot of beauty there about that Proverbs 31 woman, that Proverbs 31 wife and mother, that virtuous woman. But I have 5, and then again there was so much more in the message. But 5 things I want to bring out very quickly. First, diligence. The Proverbs 31 woman learned the art of diligence. She was a hard worker, as we read. I could go back through all of these verses, but I won't for the sake of time. She's a hard worker who carried out her task in a timely fashion. So diligence is needed to tenderly and carefully train her children that will one day rise up and call her blessed. And all the young ladies that are hearing this now, this is something that can be learned now. Young ladies, even before you start having children, what a great blessing it is to have godly women that are willing to teach you and how to be diligent in teaching you how to do these wonderful things that this Proverbs 31 woman did. She gave meat to her household, and then she gave it to others. She made the clothing. She did so much. She was diligent in her work. The second thing is compassion. Well, I think that almost goes without saying, a mother's compassion. Faithful, godly mothers are full of compassion. And the mother that we read about here in Proverbs was always caring for her family and extending herself to the poor and her needy. Right? She was giving to her household and a portion to her maidens. She careth for these things. Her candle doesn't even go off by night. I don't know how many restless nights my wife has had, not only in the early stages of our children's lives, as she would get up to care for them and nurse them and care for them, but then even as they grow older, all of the nights that she's thinking about and praying for them. That mother's work is never done. Her compassion. The third thing is her heart, her servant's heart. I think it goes without saying around here at Grace Baptist Church and all the moms and the mothers that we know, but mothers and wives in this church, they do everything they can to serve others. Time and time again, I see my own wife and the women of this church putting others before themselves over and over and over again. Some got up early this morning to cook, some stayed up late, and a mother does this week after week. I mean, like, I went in and, I'm trying to give Heather a weekend off, and it's just like, I'm ready to go back to work for a break. Although I don't want to wear a mask. Okay, sorry. Nothing to do with this message. But their amazing servant's heart. This passage says that she goes to great lengths for her family. She rises early, stays up late to prepare to take care of them. Having a mother's loving servant's heart is a valuable gift for a child, and is something that we should start growing, or that children you should start growing and learning now. Number 4, this Proverbs 31 woman has incredible wisdom. Look at verse 26. I will show you that. She opened her mouth with wisdom. And then the last one will be that one about kindness. But she has wisdom. Typically, the only way a person can speak with wisdom is they first gain wisdom in their heart. So this Proverbs godly 31 woman has godly wisdom that she has with her own heart. And then that's what she speaks. And so begin planting that wisdom in your heart, and studying the Word and observing and doing intentional learning, and then teach that to your children. And real quick, men, myself included, don't leave your wife to do all of her own instruction. You teach her too, as she's looking for you to guide and teach her the ways and the things of God. How she's to be an obedient wife and all of those things. And then fifthly and finally, her kindness. Same verse. And in her tongue is the law of kindness. Oh, those Christian mothers are so kind. Her tongue is the law of kindness. Perhaps this is one of the greatest gifts that a mother gives to her children, is her kindness. Yeah, she disciplines them, yes, and she's hard on her children, yes, and she exercises that discipline, but she is so loving and so kind. That compassion that I talked about. And I'm thankful for the mothers that are godly women teaching and showing their children these things. And you know, in years gone by, we've gone over to 2 Timothy, we've learned about Eunice and Lois, and we've seen the godly teaching of women and all of those things, but God tempered this message today for this purpose and this reason. We got to talk about Mary, we got to talk about this Proverbs 31 woman, and that's the way the Lord intended this message, and that's where I'm going to leave it. So I thank you, mothers, for all that you do each and every day. Keep on keeping on, and may God give you strength to do that which He has called you to do. Shall we stand together? We'll be dismissed in a word of prayer.